Hi, I'm Rob, and in this Gems of War video, I'm going to take a look at this new hero class, Spiritwalker from Valpacia. Spirit Shot, choose one, create 8 spirit gems and gain an extra turn, pretty good, or deal magic-based true damage to a random enemy, and you unlock by finishing the quest in Valpacia. So let's go ahead and do that. Right, so we go to Valpacia. There it is. Class, quest, Spiritwalker. Right, I'm not gonna read all this. I'm just gonna skip past it all. Commune with the fire spirits. It's very polite, isn't it? Right, so the early stages, see how a general quick team does like this, where you just cast Leprechaun, cast Rowan. If we have to multicast, we'll change to a different team, which does it in a single shot if we can. Okay, so there's enemies left over. A couple of ways you can go about this. You can either boost up your Rowan by chucking in more medals of guard, or we can just simply change teams, which is probably what I'm going to do. I'll show a couple of different options during this, different teams you can use. This one here is my Tooth Queen team. This is actually a pretty quick team. Tooth of the Wild explodes green gems, grants a random status effect to all the Wildfolk allies, then summons a Wildfolk troop. Elemental class is useful for these kind of things because the enemies hit pretty hard and you don't want them getting extra turns and things like that if you can avoid it. And the Elemental Force third trait stuns, freezes, burns and entangles a random enemy when matching 4 or more gems. We can freeze someone from the start while being immune to frozen ourselves. We can create a dust storm from the start, which is brown. It's actually quite useful because we get a barrier when matching brown with rock solid. Extra brown and fortitude. The cool thing about this is it explodes green gems, which Queen Beatrix creates. She also creates brown, which feeds back into the weapon. So the weapon gets charged and Beatrix gets charged, which is really good because she does an awful lot of true scatter damage and can repeat it. King Solanus is here just for that. All Wildfolk allies start with 50% mana. It just makes it that nice little bit quicker. What banner did I use for this? +2 green, +1 brown, -1 red mushroom banner from Amanithrax. Don't care about the -1 red on King Solanus. Don't really care about his spell. If it done true damage I would, but it doesn't, so I don't. Right, so we're looking to get B up basically. So we'll grab her colours. So I've got a chance of getting an extra turn, remember? There it is. Makes it nice and quick. Oh, one, I tell ya. They had 1 life. Should check that I've got nicer medals added to this actually, because that'll make it quicker. That alleviates those annoying moments when you get like then the enemy. Let's see, I've got the wrong medal set. This is my dungeon medal set. When I go in the dungeons, there we go. Don't need a Medal of Anu on this and anything like that because we already get the 50% start on our Queen Bees. Foxy lady. Not seeing much of our normal colours there straight away. Obviously you don't need to be an Elementalist class for this. You can change something that gives you a 50% start, which is what I'm going to do. This is just a recommended class if you're a newer player to the game, so you don't have particularly high armor and life. So I may actually switch that in a second. Alright, can we get a double drop anywhere? Not going to look around too much because things just seem to happen anyway half the time. There we go, we got it anyway. Victory! Alright, let's change this class to give ourselves a 50% start. I'm not too worried about the damage received right now. Geomancer, one of my go-to things when it's a 50% start is wanted. Still get a barrier on brown with this class. Not much going for our preferred colours there. But that was alright. We will have a bit of that. Right, let's get this going. Double cast of the bees does the job. They've had someone pop back into the fray. And he can go again. Bye bye, matey boy. Oh, was that it? That was short and sweet. Alright, done. Right, now let's take a look at that class and explain why I think it's going to be really, really good. But a quick shout out to the Gem Father, which is the guild I'm in at the moment. We have 3 spare slots. If you're a PlayStation player and fancy a change, and you can pop into this guild, you can see the requirements there. All we ask is that you announce yourself in the chat so we know that you're a proper player, not just someone coming in to leech rewards. And you should be good to go. Fairly basic weekly requirements. Got a lot of good players here. Lots of high-level players that enjoy the game, working as a team. Really, really good. Drama-free. If you're one of these people that likes a lot of drama and causing a fuss, don't come in. You will be kicked again. So just a little word of warning on that. But yeah, if you fancy a change, pop in. We like to do crazy stuff now and again, like I was in the top 5 of the journey on the previous one on the worldwide leaderboards, and we have Horn Dog currently sitting joint top now. He was clear top of the leaderboards. Not bad for a guild less than 6 months old, or around about 6 months old now. Anyway, let's take a look at that class. Right, let's take a look at this Spiritwalker class then and look at the pros and the cons. First up, the skills. You'll see in the magic section there with the purple orb, little green writing says +5 when using green weapons. So any green weapon you get a +5 benefit. There are quite a few very good green weapons, so you can get a nice +5 benefit when using this. And the weapon for this, Spirit Shot, is actually pretty decent. I'm going to do a video on this later, but it's one of these choose ones. Create 8 spirit gems and gain an extra turn, or deal a magic based decent amount of true damage to a random enemy. Now looking at the first thing there, the create 8 spirit gems and gain an extra turn, that is actually not bad. It's the extra turn which really makes that. First up, you'll create those 8 spirit gems, and if they don't naturally align, you have a chance to do that with an extra turn. So with that extra turn, you can either align them manually, or if they still had no chance to align, you should have a troop in your team to take advantage of this kind of thing by destroying or exploding gems and getting benefit from them that way, and actually draining a load of mana from the enemy, which is actually pretty handy. If the situation isn't perfect for that, then you can deal a decent amount of true damage. But it is to a random enemy, and this is one of the bad things about this weapon for me. It could target somebody who you don't particularly want to target first, or at a particularly low amount of health and are about to die anyway, something like that. So that does work against it a little bit. I would prefer it if you could just choose who that done it on, or at least just done it on the first enemy or the last enemy. A random enemy is slightly irritating about that for me. Let's take a look at the traits now. A pretty decent set of traits. Okay, the first one is nothing special, but it never is. But spell armor, reduce damage from spells by 25%, is very good indeed. That is significant, and you'd be surprised how much that makes a difference during a game. Very good, that one. Spirit Drain has good and bad. Drain 2 mana from a random enemy when an ally casts a spell. Doesn't sound that much, but it's actually not too bad. Remember, this class has troops in it like that Todd Greenwood, who can repeat cast, and they can loop and loop and loop, and every single time you do that, you're casting another spell and therefore draining 2 mana from a random enemy. So it can build up. And the other reason it's good is because, say for example on Guild Wars Day, you're fighting one of those double or sometimes even triple empowered teams. Those ones that have got 2 or 3 troops fully charged, ready to cast straight away. If you're able to start your team with something like a leprechaun or another empowered troop and cast straight away as well, there's a good chance that you're going to drain mana from one of those empowered troops and basically stop their fast start. It's like it'll just make them use an extra turn, which actually can make all the difference sometimes. That is another good thing going for it there. The bad thing I don't like about it is it's drain 2 mana from a random enemy, and it can be from an enemy that hasn't got any mana in the first place, which is somewhat irritating sometimes. You could have someone sitting there on 20 out of their required 22 mana and about to get ready to cast and something like that, and 3 other troops that are on 0 mana, and it decides to take the mana away from one of the ones that have got 0 mana. It is random on that. When it works, it's pretty handy, but it's not guaranteed to take the mana away from the troops you want to half the time. It's completely luck based. Now the talent trees on this, again, good and bad. The good thing about it is these first 4 or 5 sets of talent trees are actually good regardless of what team you're running or what team you're fighting. Like resilience, gain 8 life is gain 8 life. Purification, cleanse yourself on 4 or 5 gem matches is always handy. Even if you've got a cleanser in your team like a Queen Beatrix, something like that, she can get stunned and therefore lose that ability to cleanse. So having the ability to cleanse yourself is always useful. This one's a bit odd. Anti-magic sphere, reduce damage from spells by 20% because we get a 25% spell reduction in our standard traits. So root trap, always nice to have. I do like root trap. And mana source, start battles with 50% mana. This is a nice combination, root trap and mana source. I do like root trap. Always handy to root trap the enemy at the start to be safe from skulls, and a 50% mana start is really important in games like Guild Wars and things like that. And there are only 2 other classes that actually have mana source and root trap at the same time, which are Archer and Shaman. So if you're looking at this sort of thing, you have to compare class for class. Like, are the other benefits of Spirit Caller worth it over something like, say, Archer class? And I'll just take a look at that in a minute. But yeah, and again, Healing Herb, gain 4 life when matching green gems is a small amount, but it can save you sometimes. But again, nothing special. But these first 4, really good, regardless of your player level, regardless of your team you're fighting or the the team you're using. It's like good no matter what. They're not like some of these ones up here gain 2 magic if using a dagger and things like this. And it's like sometimes they're just useless and not required at all. You just can't benefit from them. But all these first 5 are pretty good no matter what. So that's pretty good that way. The downside to it is there's nothing in here outstanding. Like here you've got like Mystic Channel, Eternal Summer, and yeah, Harvest Moon. Nothing special. There's nothing game changery here, if you know what I mean. There's no like Fireblade, triple skull damage to burning enemies. There's no Rising Shadows, percentage chance to kill someone, and things like that. None of the ones that put a death mark on someone at the start of battle. Things that can just turn the tide in your favour absolutely straight away. So there's no game changes here whatsoever. But what it does have is a steady source of okay things, which combined can actually be okay, regardless, like I said, of the kind of team you're fighting or even indeed using. So all around good. So let's compare that to Archer class, just as a basic. Let's pop across to Archer class because remember now with this, what we got is reduced damage from spells by 25%, and that's Spirit Drain, which is pretty good. Obviously root trap and mana source are the main things there, and resilience and purification are pretty nice too, but apart from that, nothing special. So when you think, okay, what would I use this class for, or when indeed would I use it at all, and would I use it over something else that's pretty similar, like say Archer class? Let's compare. So in the talent trees you have root trap as well, and you have the fast start in the traits, start battles with 50%. So the main benefits here are 15% chance for skull damage to be lethal. And in the talent trees you get stuff like Hunt. Hunters mark a random enemy on 4 or 5 of a kind, which is pretty good. But again, after that you've got stuff like Leaf Storm, which is situational basically. You have to be using a green team to benefit from that. Backup certainly can be handy indeed, but only good when an ally dies, basically. You've already got to have a space for that, so you've got to have lost troops, so it's good and bad at the same time. And again, the rest of these are situational depending upon what you're doing, although a chance of a hair enough to be summoned is pretty good, but again, you've got to have lost someone to benefit from that. And dodge is always useful. And yeah, these ones are just okay depending upon what team you're using. So when you're looking at Spiritwalker and you think, is it any good or not, and you compare it to something else like Archer class, you're thinking, okay, well, we've both got Nature's Aura and Root Trap, and we've got things like here like Perfect Aim and Hunt, which can do a lot of skull damage, as well as that 15% chance for skull damage to be lethal. Would I swap those things for basically 25% reduction from spells and that 2% that 2 mana drain, sorry, from the traits as well? So would you swap that for those other things? So to me, it's kind of comparable in a way to Archer Class. I still prefer Archer Class overall. If that 2 mana from a random enemy actually took it away from someone that always had mana, that would be a different thing completely. The fact that it takes it away, or tries to take it away from someone sometimes that has got 0 mana, or even immune to mana drain, then it changes it slightly. So it's good, but it's not as good as it initially sounds. So good and bad in this, but I do like the fact that these first at least 5 traits are good regardless of your team. So there's a good and bad of Spiritwalker. Let me know what you think of it in the comments, because it's okay. Time will tell how much it gets used, but yeah, it's a new class and it's something new to have a play with, so all good there. Let me know in the comments what you think of it, and there's the video. If you enjoyed it, found it useful, helpful, any of that kind of stuff, be really cool if you bash that like and subscribe button, and I'll catch you again next time. Thanks for watching, bye for now.